Hey everyone, Devin here with Backcountry Exposure. One of the most common questions that I get asked as a parent is, what kind of gear should I purchase and take for my kids to use in the backcountry? Because one of the common concerns as a parent is, I don't want to spend a lot of money on a piece of gear because my kid's just going to outgrow it, they're not going to wear it often enough, and maybe it doesn't get used in the right season. And as we get going into today's conversation, we're going to talk about how to find cheaper pieces of gear that are on sale but high quality as well by shopping at Backcountry.com, and Backcountry is sponsoring today's video. But what I want to talk about specifically are just some of my favorite pieces of gear that I, as a parent, like to have for my kids to make sure that they are, most importantly, having a great experience on the backpacking, hiking, and car camping trips that we go on. Because if they are not having a good experience, it's not going to be a good memory, and they are not going to want to continue to do it. And that's where I have focused in on these particular gear items to ensure that my kids are comfortable, that they're enjoying themselves, and that they are protected from the elements, from the conditions of what we're doing and where we're at, as much as I would invest in myself as well. So the first thing that I want to talk about is outerwear for kids. I've got a few different pieces of outerwear here that are some of my absolute favorite pieces of gear. And this fleece, I've got 3 of them, one for each of my kids, and these are my kids' favorite jackets. These are the Patagonia Micro D fleece, the snap fleece. They're just super cute, and I love the colors and everything. They're perfect for those summer settings where you get just a little bit of chill in the morning, or a storm comes through and drops the temperature, or in the evening. This is a great jacket that is fairly inexpensive, and you can find these on sale all the time. So another great option for kids is to find a down jacket. And down jackets don't have to be expensive. Now this down jacket happens to be Mountain Hardwear. I found this for $30, and it was like retailed for over $100. And I've got another option here. This is from Columbia. A great brand that's making stuff small enough for really young kids. And for the super tiny little ones, you can even get these nice like suits, basically, that are just awesome. This thing retailed for like $100, and got it from Backcountry.com for a really low cost. And the nice thing is it's easy to re-gift these kinds of things if they're not totally worn out. So good outerwear is an important part of making sure that kids have a good experience. Now, something that is important to me is I want to teach my kids to be able to carry their own gear. And obviously they're not going to carry massive amounts of gear and a lot of weight, but nice to have good little kid day packs that allow them to carry the gear necessary for the trips that you're going on. So this is my daughter Lucy's little Osprey day pack. This is the Daylight, big enough to put a water bottle here in on the side, and it's a great way for them to feel like they are part of the process in the hiking. You've got plenty of space for snacks, a lunch, for their jacket, for the things that aren't going to weigh them down too much, and you're not investing a ton of money into a product like this. But then a little bit larger, in a backpacking scenario, my first backpacking trip with my oldest daughter took this Jet 12 from Osprey, and large enough to put a small sleeping pad, her sleeping bag, and her snacks, and her stuffed animals stuffed into the mesh pocket here on the outside of the pack, which you gotta make sure that kids feel like they have those comforts at home. So it was a priority to make sure that she had Mr. Fox in the pack with her for that particular trip. But the nice thing about this pack is it does have these little hip belt wings that just add a little bit of comfort so that they're more comfortable on the trail and having a good experience that way. Now, one of the things that I think is worth spending the money on is a high quality water bottle. So these kid-friendly, like kid-focused Hydro Flask bottles are the way to go. And yeah, I mean, they're heavy. They're not like a smart water bottle that all of us ultralight people are so concerned about having. But the biggest benefit to these is they keep water cold. They also are going to be basically indestructible. We've had this Hydro Flask for over a year, possibly longer than that. And it's got a straw feature, so it's basically spill proof. So I don't have to worry about this spilling all over the place or getting super hot. And it's cute. Like, they can put their own little stickers on it, and it's a good way for them to carry their own water, make sure that they stay hydrated, and easy to clean. But these little Hydro Flask bottles are absolutely worth the investment for kids. So one other cool thing before we talk about more of the camping, like sleeping focused stuff, is cool headlamps. This is a Black Diamond Whiz headlamp. And what I love about this is it gives the kids something to have on their head. Like my oldest daughter, she loves being just like dad, having a headlamp on her head and being able to see and walk around as well. And the cool thing about this Whiz headlamp is you've got a nice diffuser across the entire thing. So it's pretty difficult for you to get blinded by this light, but it's a good fun way for a kid to have a headlamp and be part of being out there with mom and dad. Now, before we move on to the next piece of gear, let's talk about Backcountry.com, because one of the questions I get asked very often is, where do I find these specific outdoor gear items for kids? And Backcountry has an entire space on their website for kids-specific gear items. Everything from outerwear to backpacks, things that are meant for kids. And filtering through that is really easy, and a lot of times you can find this stuff on sale. And if you're shopping in an off-season time, you're gonna find things are even more discounted because it may be previous year models or that kind of thing. So it's really easy to spend a low amount of money on kid specific gear items than you might in other places. And if you want to ensure that you can save a little bit more money, I've got a coupon code BACKCOUNTRYEXPOSURE that will save you 15% on your order at backcountry.com. Some exclusions do apply, but it's worth checking out to at least see if you can save yourself a little bit of cash. But thank you to backcountry.com for sponsoring today's video. So the last thing that I want to talk about has to do with sleeping for kids and how to ensure that kids have a really great sleeping experience. Because one of the things that was super frustrating for me as a parent is, why the heck are big brands not making kid-specific sleeping bags that are able to compact, really small, and be really tiny? And one of the things that's most frustrating to me is that companies think that a sleeping bag for a kid has to be synthetic filled, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's not many options of down sleeping bags. I've got one here from the company UGQ. This is a quilt. I love this down quilt from UGQ that is a youth quilt, but you do have great options for kids from Big Agnes. So this bag right here is the little red bag. It is synthetic filled, so it's going to be more bulk, a little bit heavier than this UGQ, but I do love this little red because it's got a integrated pad sleeve, which helps kids stay on top of the pad. And you know, if you've got kids, they're flopping around, they're moving around a lot in their sleep, and so having that pad sleeve is really nice to help keep them on the pad. So this is a 15-degree kid-specific sleeping bag. You can see it's like a maximum of 48 inches in length or so, and it's just got cool designs in it. It packs up pretty small. It's a great option for kids, and my wife and I have been using these for the past like almost 3 years, I believe, that we've had these, and they're awesome. My kids love them, and they keep them really comfortable and warm, and that's important. So in addition to that, sleeping pads. A child deserves to sleep on a sleeping pad that's comfortable and isn't just like a closed cell foam pad thrown on the ground like you're a kid, you can just deal with it. Like, I don't believe in that. I want my kids to have a good experience. So I've got two different options, an insulated and a non-insulated, the AirCore Ultra from Big Agnes and the Tensor insulated short mummy from Nemo. And these are great options because they are 48 inches in length, they're 20 inches wide, and they fit perfect in this pad sleeve and are the right length with these quilts, because you don't need something that is super long for really tiny kids. If your child is more than 4 feet in length, then yeah, you're gonna want a longer pad. But if they're tiny, like mine are, then going with these pads is a great option. Now, the last piece of gear that I wanna talk about is something that's been sitting in my storage for quite some time because my kids have outgrown it. But if you are a parent and you want to get your kids out into the backcountry, but they're not quite walking yet, or you just need a better way to carry them, these kid carriers are the way to go. They're awesome, and we've backpacked with this. We have done a lot of miles with my kids in this Deuter Kid Comfort, and Osprey has them. There's other options as well, but I love this as an option to be able to get out as a family. And it's funny, you always get like comments from people on the trail like, oh my gosh, I wish I could get a ride like that. Like just kind of silly things. But this has been a huge part of us as a family being able to get out on the trail and enjoy ourselves in the backcountry, because it's just what we want as a family. So a little bit of an investment, but a great way to be comfortable with kids out in the backcountry. You've got storage here underneath, depending on which model it is, you'll have more or less storage, a canopy that can come over top. These are just awesome. So there's so many cool things for you to be able to get for your kids to just make sure that they have a great experience in the backcountry. If you have questions about any of this, leave them down in the comment section. I'd love to answer anything. If you've got kids and this is something that's important to you and you want to talk more about how to get kids out into the backcountry, shoot me an email. Let's talk about it. Backcountry Exposure on Instagram or backcountryexposure@gmail.com. Let's have a conversation for those of you that are parents. And thank you for watching today's video. Thank you to Backcountry for sponsoring this video. And you guys are awesome. Appreciate you. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do. And we will see you on the next one.